It is an honour to stand here before you today as leader of your Conservative MEPs and also as the MEP for the South West of England and Gibraltar. Let us send out a clear and resolute message today to the people of Gibraltar. As long as you want to be British, no matter what intimidation, bullying and threats you may face, we will stand by you, we will defend you, the Conservatives will never betray you. Ladies and gentlemen, the EU has to change. In this hall we know it, in this country we know it, and they know it on the continent too. On the 8th of May, Brussels awoke to the news that we had won a majority, and in the corridors of the Commission, they nearly choked on their morning croissant because they know that in-out referendum will now take place. We have a golden opportunity, not just to change the EU for our benefit, but to change it for everyone on the continent too. And let's face it, even the most die-hard federalist has seen a glimpse of the EU's mortality. Greece is still bankrupt. The Eurozone is still in crisis. And the leaders of the Eurozone are not being honest with their own people about how much holding this currency together will cost them, both politically and financially. The migration and refugee crisis has exposed cracks and driven wedges across the continent. By forcing countries to take migrants against their will and telling them how to run their immigration policy, Brussels has trampled on a core principle of national sovereignty. This is typical of the EU. Whatever the problem, the solution is always more Europe. And yet, in some quarters, we are beginning to see signs of change. In recent years, we have been joined by a number of fellow campaigners, patriots who want radical reform of Europe, allies who have joined your Conservative MEPs at the forefront of these changes, opening global change, lowering barriers to entrepreneurs, and taking the single market into the digital age. That is why David Cameron created the European Conservatives and Reformists group, a group in the European Parliament that does not support the status quo, a group that opposes ever closer political union, a group that wants real change. The Federalists said we wouldn't last 6 months. 6 years later, we have grown to become the third largest group in the European Parliament. And in election after election, our parties are breaking through, joining governments in Belgium, in Latvia, in Finland, and winning the presidency of Poland. Our message of change is resonating across the continent, and more parties and more MEPs are joining us every year. So we have allies in our campaign for a new relationship with the EU. And with David Cameron, we have a strong negotiator in Europe, a man who cut the budget, vetoed the Fiscal Compact Treaty, and took us out of the Eurozone bailouts. He will now seek to renegotiate our terms of membership. 40 years ago, Margaret Thatcher spoke about the ratchet of socialism. she broke it. And we must now break the ratchet of centralisation in Europe, to break the unwritten rule that every law, every treaty must increase the power of Europe and diminish the power of the nation states. Mr. Cameron, we need treaty change that increases the power of Westminster and diminishes the power of Brussels. This will be a tough task, but I believe that working together we can be successful. Ultimately, though, what we believe in this hall, doesn't matter, because it matters what the British people believe. We will serve their interests, and we will trust their judgment, and we will implement their decision, whatever the result may be. So as we go into this referendum, let us remember that there will be good Conservatives on both sides of the argument. Let us recall Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not speak ill of fellow Republicans." We can debate ideas, but as good Conservatives, we must not attack each other. We must conduct this debate with courtesy and respect. Our shared values and love of country transcend any differences of opinion. For as soon as we move beyond the referendum, those values and our national interests will face their greatest threat in a generation. The Labour Party, led, and I use that term generously, led by Jeremy Corbyn. Britain needs a strong Conservative Party capable of beating that tax-raising, ambition-destroying, money-printing, terrorist-apologising, loony leftish Labour Party. And as we head towards that referendum, your Conservative MEPs will continue to fight for the best deal for Britain. And after it has been held, whatever the result, our party will come together. We will fight together, and we will win together. Thank you.